And what's happening, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993 coming at you for yet another live Raw review. We're going to take a look back at everything that happened on the December 4th, 2017 episode of Raw. Happy December, everybody. We're less than 30 days left in the new year. In the year, getting to the new year, I should say. My goodness, 2017 went by very fast. And we're coming up on Christmas as well. So I hope you guys are starting to get ready for the holidays. Again, I'm getting hyped up as well. As far as today's episode of Raw, a little underrated, I feel. I feel like it's an episode that a lot of people, probably didn't like it for some points. But if you look at it again, it was still a pretty successful episode of Raw. There was a lot of good storytelling, a lot of character development. Some weird things happened, but I think it was a good episode to sit back and enjoy. We got to see, it actually built a story of things going forward. We got also the debut of a certain gimmick in WWE, except it's not the same name, but it's still going to be awesome, even though I've never gotten to see much of the actual gimmick from the actual brand. And but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this. So, and also the ending also, I'm like, what's going on here? But it was still good. Still good. We're going to look back and talk about it all here in tonight's episode of my Raw review. So we started off the show with showing what happened last week after the Intercontinental Championship match between Roman Reigns and Elias, when Samoa Joe came out of nowhere and ambushed Roman Reigns, choking him out. Kurt Angle makes his entrance with the "You Suck" chant. He of course welcomes us and he starts talking about what to expect tonight. We had the Raw tag title match between Ambrose and Rollins, representing the Shield, taking on Sheamus and Cesaro, The Bar. I believe it was their fifth match, I believe, we've gotten out of them. And he also says Roman Reigns is going to defend his Intercontinental Championship yet again. He's about to introduce the opponent for Roman Reigns, but then Jason Jordan interrupts. And he gets to the ring and says, "Hold on." And he just gets a ton of boos. And he says he wants to face Roman. And Kurt's like, you can't be serious. Your knee is still all taped up. And this Jordan again saying, I'm fine. He keeps saying he's fine, but then again, his knee still buckles in his match. So then of course Jason continues to protest. He says the same thing we hear, and ever since I've come to Raw, I wrestled Reigns, Cena, Strowman, Kane, Miz. He's held his own all the time. Blah blah blah. He wants to be like his dad. He says Reigns has an open challenge, and I can step up and take it, and I'm ready to step up because I know I can meet Roman Reigns, and I just need a chance. Again, just typical stuff that Jordan keeps saying. Pretty much just trying to get every opportunity he can get. And Kurt's thinking about it, but then here comes Roman Reigns. He gets to the ring, and then he tells him that he's a fighting champion. He picks who he wants to fight, and it's definitely not Jordan. He wants Samoa Joe. Jordan says he doesn't want. Actually, he says to he then says to Jason Jordan, which I like this because it was weird about this segment though. I mean, it was good, but it was weird. It's you have Roman Reigns who gets the John Cena reaction. You have Jason Jordan who is good, but he's not getting the good response right now because people aren't buying this whole illegitimate son angle, and his mic skills are terrible, and he needs to turn heel. Which again, I think this segment was still leaning towards that slow turn, but had that, and then we had that, and then the last person who was involved in this segment is a heel, but we'll talk about him shortly. But Roman says to Jason Jordan, he says, "If you want an opportunity, just step up and take it. Don't run to your daddy." And then and of course Jordan at first he laughed about, but then he was upset that Roman would talk about him earning opportunities. And says, "You are the poster boy for everything the WWE management wants." And again, he's pretty much right. And Roman says he's right about one thing. He's been on a lot of posters, and he has been on a lot of chairs because he's main evented a lot of shows, but he wasn't given it. He earned it for 7 years. And if Jordan wants something, you need to step up and take it. And then of course, Angle gets in between them, and then here comes Samoa Joe again, a heel, but he's probably the most liked out of the three of them in this segment. Samoa Joe comes in. He says he would like to sit in the back and watch them pretend to talk tough. but his patience wore thin. If Roman's done patronizing the kids, he'll accept this challenge because at times he's merciful. He'll give him a little reprieve. 5 seconds to withdraw his challenge because he knows he can't beat him. And it's true because, well, I think in that triple threat match between Reigns, Strowman, and Joe, Reigns did pin Joe there. But in singles matches, Joe I think is 2-0 or 3-0 against Roman, something like that. So Roman's never beaten Joe one-on-one. And then of course Jason, would mention that, hey Joe, you don't have to come out here and talk tough. Which he gets a look from Roman, and then a weird one because he is tough and he doesn't have to attack people from behind to issue a challenge, just like he challenged Roman and how he'll challenge Joe right now. Reigns says 5 seconds are done, and then Jason comes out of nowhere and then hits a belly-to-belly suplex on Roman Reigns, pretty much, pissing off Roman Reigns. And he tells Joe that you can wait for later tonight, but right now, get in the ring, Jordan. And he orders Kurt to make the match, and then Angle calls in a referee. So now we get an Intercontinental title match between Jason Jordan and Roman Reigns. Again, as long as Roman's defending the title, I have no problem with him being Intercontinental Champion. Match was good. Wasn't as good as the match they had in the build for the John Cena Roman Reigns match. I felt that match was a little bit better, but this match was still pretty good. We had that spot there where Jason Jordan caught Reigns and he ran him into the steps with the suplex. It was a pretty sick spot. Again, if Jason Jordan can just get the character better, he'd be an awesome talent. He can wrestle, but he can't talk really. But then eventually, he'd be set with the Superman punch and to the spear, and then Roman would win to retain the championship. And then Joe gets on the mic saying that you finished with the job, and he's going to put Roman to sleep. He goes to the ring to do so, but Jason Jordan, makes a save with a back suplex, and then Jordan was occupying Joe, but then Reigns get one last punch on him, and he hits him Jordan with the Superman punch, and then we go to commercial. We came back in the office. Kurt is of course talking to Stephanie about how Stephanie's accusing things being out of control over the phone, whatnot, blah blah blah. And then Jason Jordan comes in begging for a rematch against Roman next week, but first he wants to get a match against Samoa Joe tonight. And then Kurt says, pretty much it was lays in here saying you can't beat the man things all the time, and the last thing you need is anyone playing favorites. And then of course Jason keeps begging him, and Kurt tells him he'll take it under advisement, but he needs to leave and cool off. Which I thought at first he made a match for tonight with Jason Jordan and Samoa Joe, but I guess we didn't get it tonight. But I think we are going to get it either next week on Raw or the following week. I'm very confused after what happened at the end, but then Joe comes out and just pretty much just bulldozes Jordan into the wall and trash talks both him and Kurt, and he walks out. Just pretty much just what Joe would normally does, just comes out of nowhere and just attacks people. Just out of the blue, you wouldn't even think of it. And speaking of which, we'll talk about him again later. And then of course we have a recap of the new stable called Absolution between Paige, Sonya Deville, and Mandy Rose of their recent actions. And it sets up for a match. Next, it's Paige versus Sasha Banks. This is Paige's first match in WWE in over a year. And I gotta say, it was a good match. I enjoyed it. They had Absolution at ringside for Paige. Bayley and Mickie James were at ringside for Sasha Banks. But, of course, Absolution gets the best of them and takes them out to continue to make them look very strong. Alexa Bliss was on commentary. Of course, they keep mentioning to her about, how Alexa won't admit that she's afraid of Absolution. She always runs away whenever they're on the attack, especially after they laid out Alexa. So, after, taking out Mickie James and Bayley at ringside, and then, Sasha pretty much just leaving the ring to tell them off, then Paige would hit her with the Rampage by distraction to get the victory. Her first victory in WWE again in over a year. So Paige gets the victory, and after the match, um, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose pretty much beat down Sasha Banks. And of course, the Absolution raised Paige's hands tall, but we will not be seeing. We'll be seeing them again later on tonight. So then back again, we have Kurt Angle texting, and all of a sudden we hear guitar playing. Here comes Elias. Two Pittsburgh men in the same room at the same time, I shall say. He then asks Angle to put his phone away and hold your applause until he's done. And Kurt's like, "Hey, what do you want?" And then Elias says he wants another shot at Roman Reigns, and tells Angle he's blatantly plays his favorite song, "The City of Angels," and wants to walk with Elias. But since there are no good opponents left, the musical performance is all they're going to get. But then, he goes on and on. But then Kurt says, he said, the W Universe are better, and he promises that he'll find Elias a worthy opponent for him tonight, which we'll find out later on. Then we had, first we had, this was kind of like the lowest point of the show, because we had, two things happened. We had a package of recapping what's been going on between Kane and Braun Strowman, setting up for next week's, which probably be the main event, just a one-on-one match between Kane and Braun Strowman. This feud's doing nothing. So it's probably going to be the main event of next week's show of the Christmas week for WWE and it's going to be in Cleveland, Ohio, hometown of my friend Gene from the BSP Wrestling Show. I literally sent him a tweet. He didn't reply to it yet. I think he's at work. But I said, "So Gene, is that main event going to cause you to want to buy a ticket?" I bet you it's not. But yeah, so next week is probably going to be our main events. Strowman and Kane in the main event. Nothing against Strowman. It's just, this feud with Kane's just doing nothing for him. It's just so pointless, pretty much. But then we have this backstage segment, which again, it started off meh, and then it got really like, no. It was one of those moments. So we have backstage, we have Enzo addressing the Zoe train. He's talking to Tony Nese and Drew Gulak about their opportunity of a lifetime. Then he's getting on Noam Dar and Ari Daivari for letting Rich Swann beat them last week. And you pretty much gotta say, you gotta give Nese and Gulak the chance to win. He says a lot of things happen on the Zoe train, but two things they don't do are lose and lose again. We're winners and whatnot, which, Enzo's just a loser. He can't win unless he cheats. He just tells them Gulak and Nese to get the job done, and they all leave fired up. I thought, okay, that's it. All of a sudden, Enzo turns to the side, and he sees someone, and then he's stopped, like, okay, who could this be? I'm like, could it be Neville, maybe? Because the rumors have been coming back, possibly, because of the cooler heads prevailing. No, it's Nia Jax. Nia Jax smiling at Enzo. Never seen Nia Jax smile like this before. And then she's just smiling, and she asks him, "How you doing?" And, she leaves, and Enzo's like, what just happened here? And I like that too. We had Alicia Fox heading on Cedric Alexander before she ended up with Noam Dar in that atrocious feud. Now we're going to get Nia Jax and Enzo Amore in a love story. Nia Jax, 6 foot, 272-pound Nia Jax, who is meant to be an unstoppable monster, they're like half doing a push for her, not even going all out with her. Now you're going to go and put her in a love story with Enzo Amore. WWE, please. No. Because anymore, not too many love stories do not seem to work out. And you know what happens when there's a certain concept in wrestling that does not seem to work out too often anymore? You know what happens whenever you take a woman who's supposed to look like a monster, but you're half doing her push, and now you're just putting her on Total Divas, and you're also pairing her up with Enzo Amore in a love story? WWE love stories? You just made the list! Yep. So Enzo and Nia could be going on double dates with Big Cass and Carmel. Well, Big Cass and Carmel are dating in real life. Enzo and Nia aren't. But this is the storyline. But still, don't really like love stories in the WWE because they don't seem to ever work out. Well, not the latest ones at least. But we had that, so I'm like, oh great. Then we had this number one contenders qualifying match. The second Fatal 4, the winner would face Rich Swann next week for the opportunity to face Enzo Amore for the Cruiserweight Championship. And it was Cedric Alexander taking on Drew Gulak versus Mustafa Ali versus Tony Nese. Again, the winner would face Rich Swann next week. I was really hoping for Cedric Alexander to win this match. And honestly, this match wasn't too bad. I think this is one of the better Cruiserweight matches we've gotten on Raw, at least, in quite some time. I mean, we had some good matches involving Neville and Austin Aries. We had, well, that was on Raw, it was on pay-per-view, but we did have a good pay-per-view match between Rich Swann and Neville. Mustafa Ali and Neville had a good match on Raw. So did Neville and Rich Swann on Raw. Also, Fastlane, we had Neville and Gallagher have a good match. This was a pretty good match, and I think one of the biggest reasons why, because we had Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali going all out. They had a couple spots that were like they were like, you know, taking on each other, and the high flying was in there. It felt like a legit Cruiserweight match. I hope to see more of that. And not the rumor I heard today about 205 Live getting their own house shows. Please don't happen. That. But still, I gotta give it to him. This is a pretty good match. I'm surprised with the finish though. Cedric hit the lumbar check on Mustafa Ali, but then Drew Gulak comes in and pushes Cedric off to the side and gets the win to face Rich Swann next week for the number one contendership. Now, here's the thing I don't understand though. Why is Drew Gulak a cruiserweight? Now, I probably am like, you know, way behind on this. I don't watch 205 Live, but if Drew Gulak is making his protest with the no-fly zone and no cheers and whatnot, then why is he a cruiserweight if he doesn't like high flying? It doesn't make any sense. Like, his character is supposed to hate high flying, but yet he's in the cruiserweight division. What sense does that make? Either way, it's a fresh opponent, and I gotta give credit. The match is actually pretty good. So we'll see what happens with Rich Swann and Drew Gulak next week. And then he was interviewed afterwards, and he says before saying he'd like to answer in the form of a PowerPoint presentation, which we will not get to see because you know, the theme of Raw starts playing, and then Elias is making his way to the arena. Elias comes out. He's about to, you know, just he's just, you know, trashing LA, how they suck in his music. All of a sudden, we find out who his opponent's going to be as we get Braun Strowman. So Strowman comes to the ring. You know, he's angry about, you know, what's been going on with Kane. He was able to, knock the wind out of Kane last week after he did it recently to him as well. The match is pretty much just, you know, just Braun taking out his anger before we had you know, Kane appear on the Titantron, and then he pretty much just says how he delights pain and horror, and next week he'll delight the same into the ring again, as, you know, pretty much just sets up to have that big money making match between Kane and Braun Strowman next week. Just one-on-one, no stipulation. I have a very bad feeling next week's not going to be it. It's not going to be it, guys. We're probably going to see this feud go on until the Royal Rumble. It's just pointless. It's not doing anything for anybody. Not enjoying it. And then we have a backstage segment where Roman's in the locker room with Rollins and Ambrose saying, "You did this part. It's time for you guys to do theirs." And then Rollins says every time it's them and the bar, they get the job done. So they're not that worried. And at first, Ambrose is confused and acting like the rematch. Wait, the rematch is tonight? I thought it was next. I thought it was he didn't know when it was. But then Dean revealed that he was joking and he's been thinking about it all day and vigilant on how they're going to win. But in fact, he can smell it, and it smells like gold. And they fist bump and they all depart. I still wish though that they would do, like how they would do a normal Shield interview, like in the old days, like with like they get their face into the camera, or they're like pacing back and forth backstage, or like the effects on the camera. I think the last time they did one was I think in the build up for the Shield Triple Threat match at Battleground in 2016. But it'd be nice to see that happen again. I mean, with what's been going on, I'm not sure they're starting to tease, the Shield, going their separate ways, based on people just questioning them, and also they're not using the Shield music anymore. They're using their own theme songs now. So, I'm confused about that. But then we have Asuka taking on Alicia Fox. Asuka's, claiming that she's going to do better than Dana Brooke. She's not Dana Brooke, and she finally got a T-shirt, and she led Team Raw to victory as she captained Team Raw. No, you didn't. Asuka eliminated 3 people. She was a sole survivor, not you. And the match, Asuka just did her thing, pretty much, not as bad as she did to Dana Brooke, but she did pretty much squash Alicia Fox. After the match, though, after she got Alicia to tap out to the flying armbar, all of a sudden, Absolution comes back out again, and for the second week in a row, they just surround the ring, and Asuka and Paige just trade smiles, and then Asuka leaves, and Paige gets on the mic, and Absolution surrounds Alicia Fox, and she tells her, Alicia, relax. She's not here to hurt. I'm not here to hurt you, and you need to believe that. And she is your friend. You're one of the only ones who actually liked me a year ago. You're my best friend, and she has to believe that at the bottom of the heart that Paige actually loves her. However, though, she doesn't think that Sonya and Mandy feel the same way. So Paige steps back, and then Sonya and Mandy beat down on Alicia, and I'm like, thank you. But yeah, again, Asuka and Paige stare down again. Now, I keep saying I think this is going to happen. They're not going to wrestle anytime soon, Paige and Asuka. What needs to happen is Paige needs to just, tear up everybody in the women's division. She has to beat, she beats Sasha Banks. She's already beat down Alicia Fox. She's got to beat Bayley, Mickie James. Heck, what the heck? Even go for Nia Jax. She's love struck right now with Enzo Amore. Beat Nia Jax. Just beat everyone in the Raw women's division. Earn that title shot against Alexa Bliss. Even if it's going to be heel on heel, it's still going to be a good heel on heel match. It's going to feel like Baron Corbin and The Miz. That wasn't really meant to be a big marquee match, but it's going to feel the same way. The confident dominating heel taking on the more Alexa's not a complete coward, but she kind of is at some points. So just have that happen, and have Paige win the title at the Royal Rumble, and then have Asuka win the title off of Paige at WrestleMania 34. That's the way to go with the Raw Women's Championship. Get a good one-on-one match there. I'm sure it could tear up the house if need be. And then we had Finn Balor taking on Bo Dallas. I don't know how long it's been since Bo Dallas has been in a singles match, but yep. He faced Finn Balor, Mr. Finn's bland. He's direct. He's not that over at the crowd. He got a pretty good decent pop tonight from the LA crowd, but Vince thinks he's not over, and he's not going to be getting a title shot against Brock next month at the Royal Rumble. Which last I heard, Brock may not be defending the title of the Royal Rumble because he has no opponents. That's stupid. But yeah, Finn Balor's just no Dolph Ziggler apparently, but he beats Bo Dallas here, but it's not going to do anything for him. Not at all. But then we had this segment. We had Bray Wyatt's music hit after it was shown, what's been going on with Matt Hardy having his little breakdowns recently. Of course, Bray Wyatt, who beat him, cuts a promo and say he doesn't think Matt Hardy knows who he is. But then all of a sudden, Matt cuts in, and then they pretty much go back and forth, cutting like mystic promos. And he's talking about talking about how his soul has been lost, and Wyatt says that Matt has no idea what is real, and then Matt says that he's studied at the Library of Alexandria, fought alongside Genesis, gone, taught symposiums with Plato, and then Wyatt says that he's says the rambles of a madman are dangerous. And then Matt says he's lied dormant in this vessel, but has been woken. And then Wyatt says he feels last week wasn't Hardy's breaking point. It was his. And he feels alive again. There's a fire. It's only growing stronger. And his fire will not cleanse or save you. It will make sure you burn. And then Matt says that Bray has left him no choice and sentences him to deletion. And they both laugh as the segment closed. So Matt Hardy and delete. The delete chants have arrived officially. The broken gimmick is in WWE now, but they're not calling him broken Matt Hardy. They're calling him woken Matt Hardy, which I'm okay with it. I mean, I've heard of broken Matt Hardy. I mean, I've seen some signs of here and there, but I've never actually really seen it in full-fledged action because I don't watch TNA. But I am looking forward to seeing, how it plays in WWE. I just hope they don't ruin it in WWE because, WWE tends to, ruin things that were good somewhere else, like in NXT or whatnot. But yeah, this is exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing Matt Hardy because for a while he was kind of directionless ever since Jeff got put on the shelf with his injury. But I don't know if they're going to keep them together or if they'll, have them on separate brands or whatnot when Jeff comes back from injury. I think if rumors, he'll probably be back probably right after WrestleMania, maybe next year. But yep, woken Matt Hardy has arrived in WWE. Then we have our main event. It was The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro taking on The Shield, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins for the Raw Tag Team Championships. The match was fun. I will admit, I didn't quite enjoy it as much since, again, this is probably the 5th time these teams have fought. But it was still a fun match, and the ending was, really dramatic. They had so many times with, Rollins was about to get the pin because he hit the run core knee strike. I don't think Ambrose ever hit the dirty deeds on anybody. But he hit that. But then, Cesaro tried hitting the neutralizer on Rollins. But Rollins had a great follow through. Rollins hit also the Falcon Arrow on Sheamus. It was a bunch of good action going back and forth. The match really picked up towards the ending was the hottest point. But then I think after Rollins hit the run cord knee strike on Cesaro, went for the pin. Sheamus came in there and just pretty much just beat down on Seth to pretty much intentionally get him and Cesaro disqualified because they still retain the titles. But then at first I'm like, are you serious? You're gonna, these guys have fought how many times? You're gonna end this feud with just a which is disqualification. But then Kurt comes out and says, you guys say you are The Bar, so why don't you prove that by restarting this match and having a clean finish in a no disqualification match? So we had the match restarted. And then, it looked like the momentum was just shifted on the Rollins and Ambrose. They were like making quick work of Cesaro and Sheamus. Looked like they were about to get the victory. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I hear someone reacting in the crowd. I'm like, okay, who's coming? Somebody's coming. I thought maybe it could be the Revival because they're probably to be back soon because they're the only other guys I can see being contenders on the main roster now, unless they bring up AOP. But they're the only people I can see being contenders now for the Raw tag titles, because they're supposed to be back soon as long as, one of them doesn't get hurt again. But no, it's Samoa Joe. Out of nowhere, again, Samoa Joe just comes out of nowhere and starts beating down people. And people just love seeing him do it. He comes in and he beats down on them and he hits a lariat and the rock bottom on Ambrose. And then Roman Reigns, who's been having issues with Joe, he comes out. And to even up the odds, he Superman punches Cesaro as he retreats. But then Sheamus out of nowhere hits a bro kick on Ambrose, I think it was. And he pulls Cesaro on top of Ambrose. And that's how The Bar retained the tag titles. I'm like, what? What just happened? I thought for sure Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were getting those tag titles back. I really thought that was going to happen. And then, The Bar, run out to the crowd to celebrate with Samoa Joe. And then Roman just stares down Joe from the ring. That's how the show goes off the air. So I don't know if this is teasing, for the Shield to be going their separate ways anytime soon because, it's all about, them getting, they want to all be champions. But, this happens even though, Reigns came out there to stop Joe since he has issues with Joe, which I'm hoping they keep the Intercontinental title match between those two for, Raw 25 or the Royal Rumble. I think that would be a good pay-per-view match, and pretty much, just getting the momentum, having to have Joe beat Reigns for the Intercontinental title. That would be a good move right there. But I don't know if this is the last match we're gonna have between Ambrose and Rollins in the bar. I mean, I would like it to be, because it's just something fresh in the tag title picture on Raw. But I mean, I feel like, with what happened here, you're going to want a stipulation well, then again, I wouldn't want to see a steel cage match again for the tag titles, because after the one against the Hardy Boys, the rules were just all messed up. So I don't know what's going to happen from here on out. Reigns and Joe are definitely going at each other. As far as Rollins and Ambrose, not sure where they're going, but we'll see what happens down the line. And that is it for tonight's review of Monday Night Raw. Before we get off here, let me see the polls. Wow, I only had 2 votes on my poll. Both of them said A. Pretty cool. I said a B for this episode of Raw. It was a very strong episode. We had a lot of storyline development. Jason Jordan's slowly turning heel. Matt Hardy's now woken. We had a good main event. Good match between Roman and Jason Jordan. We had, a pretty good cruiserweight match, even though Nia Jax now hit on Enzo Amore. We still have some good coming out of the show, though. That's why I'm going to give this show a solid B. What are your thoughts on this episode of Raw? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, be sure to click that like and subscribe for more content to come to this channel. Follow me on Twitter, DemandAirBoy93, and just stay tuned for more content to come as well. Again, if you are following along with my odds and ends, like my Wolfenstein Let's Plays, I'm going to try to finish Wolfenstein Xmas tonight. I have 2 more floors to do there. And then tomorrow night we'll review SmackDown, and any other odds and ends. That's pretty much set to come for this channel. So SmackDown tomorrow night, NXT probably the Wednesday night or Thursday morning, and then we'll go from there. All right, thank you guys. I'm out here. Have a good night.